Hello everybody. We're going to run through winterization. If your system is different than anything I've described here, feel free to shoot me an email, a text, or give me a phone call. First thing you're going to want is the van to be tailed down as much as possible. What that does is makes the intake here the lowest point so it can suck all the water out. Once your van is tailed down, you're going to want to open the faucet in the kitchen sink. Ideally, just let it run till all the water is gone out of this tank, and you'll hear the water pump make a noise like it's sucking air. Once you've done that, you can turn the water pump off. My switch is right here. Your switch will probably be on this wall somewhere as you look in there. So now there's no water in the tank, and you have air from the tank to the water pump and into the water pump up to the accumulator. So there's all air in there. At that point, I would switch the number 6 valve, which is never used for anything else except for winterization. I would close that. Because what you're going to do is you're going to hook up an air compressor into the air compressor fitting up here to blow out your lines. So just to back up a little bit, your valve configuration will just be in normal use when you're doing all this until you shut your pump off, and now you're going to flip 6 closed. I have a big air compressor in the shop, and this is probably the same size big air compressor that you would see at the gas station. These all run at about 120 pounds, which is way too much. The water pressure in your system is about 40 or 50. So what you want to get is a regulator. And you can buy one of these at Home Depot or a hardware store. I'll put a link to an Amazon description in below. But what this does is it allows you to plug this into the hose and then dial this to the appropriate pressure. And I would say 40 to 50 pounds is fine. Some air compressors actually have this on the air compressor, and you might be able to dial it in right on your air compressor. Then you're gonna plug in your air compressor to the air compressor hookup. Up there, hopefully yours is more accessible than this one. And you have set your regulator to 40 to 50 pounds. Then you're gonna follow that line back and open the valve here that will allow the air to come into the system. This is normally closed because under normal circumstances, if you open this up when there's water in the system, it would blow water all over out of that hose, that hookup. So once the air compressor is hooked up and there's pressure in there, then you can open this valve. What that does is it allows air now into your system, and that's now the pressure. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go around, run the cold on the faucet. You're gonna run the cold till it's blows air. You're gonna run the hot till it blows air. And the hot might take a while depending upon what system you have. If you have a hot water tank like the isotherm, it's gonna take 4 gallons of water out of that system and push all that out. And then you're gonna go to your shower and you run the cold till you get just air, and the hot till you get just air out of that. Then you come around to the back and you'll do the rear shower. Remember, you have to plug this hose into there in order to get it to work, because there's a valve here that it only works when that hose is plugged into it. So you plug the hose into it, run the cold till all the water's gone, just air. Run the hot till all the water's gone, it's just air. Now you have all the lines cleared out. So that should be good. You probably have one of these water heaters, an IsoTemp. This is a 4-gallon hot water heater that has the engine heat, the engine antifreeze running through it to heat the water when the vehicle's running. And it also has a AC backup switch somewhere for you to turn it on to heat the water. So blowing out your hot water on this is going to take a lot longer to blow out this tank. This is a 4-gallon tank. So it'll take some time for that to blow out the hot. When you run the hot for the very first time, you'll notice that. There's still going to be some water in there, and probably enough water in there to damage the tank, unless you go down. And this little valve here at the very bottom is a drain valve. It's a drain valve, and it's also a pressure release valve. So it's an odd valve. It doesn't operate like other valves that you would normally think of. It only goes one way, and it twists counterclockwise. And it clicks once, and it's open, and it clicks again, and then it's closed. And if you keep doing that, it just cycles that open, closed, open, closed. You'll notice when you turn it a little bit, it'll click. It actually pulls that black knob out and away from this brass. So right now I can't even fit my fingernail in there, but when I twist this and click it, there'll be a gap here, which basically is pulling it away from the brass fitting, allowing water then to flow out of it. So that's what you're gonna do to winterize it to make sure your tank's drained. The purpose of that valve is also, well, one, that, but the other is if there was an overpressure in your system, the water pressure was too high, that would automatically kick open and let the water come out too. So it's a safety feature in case of overpressurization. So that's why it's a different kind of valve. So when you click that, it'll let the water out and it'll drain down out the bottom of the van. And that's pretty good for that hot water heater. Some of you might have a different one that has a thermostatic valve on it, and that one, just blowing it out will be enough to clear the water out of it so nothing freezes. Water's out of the fresh water tank, water's out of the lines, water's out of your hot water heater. I would say it's winterized. If anybody wants to go the extra mile, what you can do is hook your water up into the configuration of suck from bucket. You can plug in a little hose here and run that into RV antifreeze, and you can suck some RV antifreeze in there if you want to put some RV antifreeze in and circulate that around. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It is hard to kind of flush it all out and get it all out of there when you come back to using it in the spring. So that's about it with winterization. Let me know. Just give me a call if you have something different or if you have any questions. Be happy to help you out. Very last thing is you would want to, I would open all the valves then and just leave them all open, because condensation can happen in the pipes and water can enough of it can just run down to a point where it could break something. So I would open everything up, and that allows things to kind of air out and dry out a little bit. If you have a propane hot water heater like this one, there's really no winterization that needs to happen, like the draining of the one with the tank that I previously showed you. This one has an automatic valve inside of it that will click open when the weather gets below 32 degrees, and it will open it as a self-drain. The blowing of this out should be enough to get everything out of it, but it will self-open. If you have one of these propane tanks and you do let it freeze, it will open up. That valve will automatically open up if it freezes in there, and then it will let the water out. It'll just spray water out because your pump will be running, and it'll empty your tank and spray water out. So if you have propane, that could happen to your system. One of the things that I use is I use one of these, I put a little temperature thermostat in there, or temperature gauge, and then I have the this cheap little weather thermostat that tells you the outside temperature and the inside temperature. So I keep that in here just to kind of keep an eye on what the temperature is back there. As you can see, I've got the bed up in the open position so everything can vent and everything open. So if you don't want to winterize it, you can just let your heater run, and that should be enough to keep everything from freezing. But just a little note on that propane heater that it has an automatic release valve if it freezes. All right, thanks a lot. And again, give me a call or contact me if you need any other information.